Good morning, class. Please come back. Please come back. Morning, class. Please come back. Yeah. Good morning. Please come back, everybody. Naresh, Bharti, good morning. Okay, I will continue my class. Okay, now the first step was preparation. In the preparation, you have to talk about, is the negotiation possible at all? What does the other company want? Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Send the proper team. Prepare a proper agenda. Prepare for a long negotiation. Look at the environment and plan your strategy. Now, differences in cultures in key negotiating, for example, communication styles can be direct or indirect. Then you can have sensitivity to time. See, these are all things that I have already spoken to you. Many times, building the relationship, no, you don't need to focus on business itself. You have to better to get to know each other, and then you have a little social, maybe have a cup of coffee of social interchange, or have a business lunch, etc. And duration and importance. See, sometimes you may be, in some cultures they like to linger over coffee or tea. In some cultures they just like to swallow their coffee and tea and quickly go. So you have to be careful about these things. Okay, so when you exchange information and give the first offer, you have to be specific about the specifications of the product, etc., etc. Right? And then persuasion. Come, this is the heart of the negotiation process. You must attempt to get the other side to agree to your terms or to a certain possessions. Numerous tactics can be used, simple talking, or maybe social interchange, etc., etc. Then sometimes, no, you can promise something. When you have a monopoly, you can threaten something. You can recommend, you can warn if necessary. If you are in a position of power, like you're backed by the government, you're a government agency, you can use a warning. You can use reward, punish, small rewards, small concessions, small or big, punishment, normative appeal. Many kinds of negotiation tactics are there. Sometimes you can make a commitment, a self disclosure, question, a command, so interrupting. So something like this you can do. See, with this, I think I will conclude what is international negotiations. Yeah, yeah. Shekhar, Malikarjun, all good morning, ma. Yeah, hold on. Okay, Naveen, good morning. Rakshita, yes, yes. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, I want to also talk to you about one more presentation which I have given. It's called Conflicts and Negotiations. Okay, Conflicts and Negotiations. Use open that file. I don't know whether it has come. Prashant, if you're there, please send that file. I think it has not come, right? Hold on a second. Let me open. hold on. Open the file which says conflicts and negotiations. Okay. Now, conflict person opposes. Then, secondly, it can be incompatible behavior, like smoking in the office, or just say it is 11 o'clock. I have to go for lunch, or something like that. Or if the lunch time is between 12:30 and 1:30, then they should stay. Um, uh, that is the time for lunch. But then you're going at another time, or you're going late or early. This is incompatible. Antagonistic interaction, like whatever someone says, another person has to say no, this, that. So these lead to conflict, and blocking another party from reaching their goals. So this is all leading to conflicts. See, conflict is not always bad for an organization. You do not need to reduce all the conflict. For for example, conflicts are an inevitable part of organization life. If you have conflicts only, you resolve something. See, sometimes some kind of anger, etc., keeps burning. It's not good. Have a little fight, finish it, and go on. So for growth and survival, you need conflicts. Conflict management includes increasing conflict and decreasing conflict, both increasing and decreasing conflict. And conflicts are a major responsibility of management. Now, conflicts can be two types in an organization. One is functional, so about how you function, how you do your operations, about this, not like this, we'll do like this. So, this kind of conflicts can come. The second one is dysfunctional conflicts. That is, these kind of conflicts are pretty dangerous. It blocks an organization from reaching its goals. Here, dysfunctionally high or dysfunctionally low conflict is there. Dysfunctionally high conflict means what you typically think about conflict. Dysfunctional is no, this is not what someone said. Let us do think in a different way, like that. So levels of conflict, they vary among groups. Now let us talk about functional conflict as constructive conflict. It increases information and ideas. See, there is some work to be done, and Mr. A says we'll do like this. Miss B says no. If we do like this, we can save so much money, and instead of 10 people doing the job, we can do it with 8 people, for example. So Miss C says, Miss B said something. So C said, see, if you try this way, we can save something even more, and I can do it with only 7 people, not 8. So it increases information and ideas, and it encourages innovative thinking. Functional conflict, it unshackles different points of view. Different people, they open out and say, and you can see some people will be so creative, and it reduces stagnation for people also. Instead of being in the same rut, same kind of job every time, it reduces stagnation. We'll go on to the next slides. Dysfunctionally high conflict creates tension, anxiety, and stress. If there are any people, who cannot tolerate conflicts, who do not, cannot face fights, then it drives out such people. Like people who are, would say, tolerant, have a low tolerance for conflicts. It simply drives them out. Then dysfunctionally high conflicts reduce the trust among people, and poor decisions are possible because of withheld or distorted information. And unnecessarily, the management has to focus on the conflict, which is not really useful at all. So levels of conflict are within and between organization, within and inside the organizations. See, the first one is between organizations. and it can be within organizations also. The second one is within and between groups, and third one is within and between individuals. Okay, so we have three kinds of levels of conflict: within and between organizations, second within and between groups, and maybe teams, etc., what you have in an organization to do different kinds of work, and within and between individuals. So you have intrapersonal conflicts, intra, that is emotions, values, etc. Interpersonal conflict, intra-group conflict, that is between groups, and intergroup. This is one more classification of conflicts apart from what I told you a little before. The so let us look at the dimensions of conflict. One is cooperate slash win. So cooperate means emphasizes the role of all the parties to the conflict. So everyone cooperates and say a little give and take here and there. All of us, it's like this. See, if you see, I've given you a nice cartoon, and the cartoon says it all. There's this young Miss Secretary who's saying, "We may have lost the customer, but I won the argument." So what is the use? Like, operation is successful, but the patient died. It's like this. So corporate is better. Then someone who wants to just win all the time. Maybe it is not possible. Now, that kind of wants to win is called dominance. Okay, dominance means wants to win. Conflict is a really battle for such people. Collaborative. Collaborative kind of people is orientation. Collaborative conflict orientation is people want to find a solution that satisfies everyone. The third one is compromising kind of conflict orientation. It splits the differences. You compromise some, I compromise some. Then there is avoidance conflict orientation, like I just simply don't want to fight, I don't want to this thing, I just back away. And then accommodative focuses on the desires of the other party. Let us see what you want, and then we will see what I want, and see if it matches. This kind of conflict orientation. Now, conflict management. There is a model for conflict management which I would like to tell you. Maintain conflict at functional levels. Don't do complete elimination. Reducing it to only the functional level. It shouldn't be dysfunctional conflict like how we discussed before. And if there is any dysfunctional conflict, see, dysfunctional conflict means what? Conflict that doesn't serve any purpose of the organization, but it certainly serves the purpose of the people who are fighting. It is just a personal differences conflict. So such conflicts should not be encouraged, and they should be reduced. Okay. Then choose a desired level of conflict based on perceived conflict requirements. It's which one to encourage, which conflict to encourage and solve, which one to discourage. This kind of things should be there. And manager should have a tolerance for conflict. He should have awareness and be ready. Now, next is functions of conflicts. Functions of conflict, you have awareness, be aware of the problem, then allow change and adaptation. Then such kind of conflict, no, functions, or no, what does a conflict do? Conflict makes everybody to aware of the problems. Then it allows change and adaptations, because when there is a conflict we try to change, because such a conflict should not arise again. Many times conflict strengthens relationships, and then it makes one aware of our own mistakes and the mistakes of others, and how to get along better. It encourages psychological development, and sometimes, many times, it can be stimulating and fun. Okay. Now let us look at the reducing conflicts method. One is lose lose method. Both of them lose. One is win lose. One wins. One gets lost, and one not gets lost. One loses. And the third one is win win. Everybody gets what they want. Lose lose methods. Like in lose lose methods, you have avoidance, compromise, smoothing, etc. Now we'll talk about in reducing conflict, win-lose methods are dominance, authoritative command, and majority rule. I think you understand what this is. Then win-win methods are problem solving. In this, it is very, these methods are very good. Like, you find the root causes of the problem and see that the problems don't arise anymore. Then next is integration, meet interests and desires of all the parties. And then superordinate goal. There is a goal that everybody wants to get, but unless you collaborate and compromise and go together hand in hand, one person cannot achieve it. So this is superordinate goal. All right. And the next one is different cultures place different values on conflict. See, there are, according to the culture, people decide. See, sometimes no, in very basic culture, having a fight, physical fight, is considered, whoever is the winner will win. But in more sophisticated cultures, you do not have physical fights. You do not even have fist fights. You just talk it out with words. So different cultures place different ideas on how to why a conflict is necessary, etc. Let us come to conflict resolution. All right, how do we do conflict resolution? All right, 1 minute.